Ready Player One, the new Steven Spielberg movie, the big movie that everybody's been talking about, and thus did not see this movie either. But I did, and so basic setup for this is when the creator of a virtual reality world, James Holliday, who's played by Mark Rylance in the movie, called The Oasis dies, he releases a video in which he challenges all Oasis users to find his Easter egg, and then whoever finds this Easter egg will get control over the entire Oasis, which is basically if you can control of the Oasis, you basically get control of the future, because the Oasis is the most profitable resource that this future has. And this future, which is set in 2045, is kind of, I wouldn't say it's a dystopian future, but it's a shitty future, where, like he says, the Way Watts character says at the beginning of the movie that like there was kind of this corn drought or something like that, that in 2027, and then people, like, there were all these issues and problems that people tried to fight for, but then they just accepted it. People just didn't try. They just stopped fighting and just accepted their fate. It's like, well, I guess it is just gonna be what it is, so let's just accept it.
Damn.
And yeah, you know what I mean. And they just stopped fighting, and they just love to escape reality, I guess, with the Oasis. And that goes into one of my issues with the film, as far as, like, I think you really could have expanded upon things like that, because they spend quite a bit of time in the Oasis, which I liked, but just to explain more of.
To be fair, the book does.
They spend more time in the Oasis in the book?
Oh, no, I mean, like, the outside. And, yeah, in the Oasis. I mean, the book has much more ability to just explain a lot more of everything.
Yeah. But did you read the book?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so that's nice. I'm gonna ask you some things in reference to the book. So yeah, I mean, just as far as in the film, explain a little bit more as far as the motivation that leads people to have such poor self-image and such disdain for their own life, that leads them to going to the Oasis. Because like when you see people playing in the Oasis, like they treat this shit like it's life, like true life and death. You know what I mean? Like you have one mother who's like the kitchen's on fire. The stove is on fire, but she don't give a fuck. Like the kid, like her son is trying to tell her, "Hey, mommy, the kitchen's on fire." She's like, "Get the fuck off me, you little bastard! I'm trying to play." Like you have so many people that are just really into this game. Like you have a Japanese businessman who's at work playing the Oasis, and then as soon as he loses, he's ready to jump out the window. So it would have been nice if they really elaborated, like really went into a little bit more depth on that, as far as like people just being so invested in this game. And so, like, this is everything for them. You know what I mean? Like, they treat it like it's heroin or crack or something. Like,
right. That was actually explained in the book.
Yeah.
In the book, it actually does have addictive qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And at least it's alluded to that. At first, the main character, I can't remember his name. What was it again?
Wade Watts.
Is it Wade Watts? Yeah, it's a very, like, comic booky name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wade Watts, he starts off in a very kind of crappy apartment, and it's over the course of the book, as he gets much better and more money from doing this, that he's able to buy like all these ridiculous setups that make him feel sensations and really feel things. At first, it's just really advanced VR, but he can't feel or touch or sense anything. But he eventually buys stuff and upgrades his living status and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they do explain that yeah, at a certain point it does get to an addictive level.
Yeah. Like Wade Watts, his because he's living with his aunt and like his aunt's boyfriend, and they live in the Stacks, which is basically like this ghetto trailer park area where like trailers are stacked on top of each other. You know what I mean?
Right. It's self-explanatory.
Yeah, and his aunt's boyfriend spent like all this, like the whole rent money on this game. You know what I mean? Of trying to get all these upgrades and armor in order to win this prize in this game. Because so if you win a prize in the game, does that translate to actual like real stuff in the real world as well?
It can. There's actually people who almost like in a real life where there are people who sell skins or do kind of wow things.
Uh-huh.
There are people that only go and adventure so they can get rewards so they can sell it to other players for real world money,
Yeah, because yeah, that's what the
or
because
gold farmers basically.
yeah, because that's what the aunts because the movie opens like with them in this big kind of challenge thing, like with the aunt's boyfriend. His aunt's boyfriend is trying to do like
Mhm.
trying to win this big prize, like everybody's trying to win, and then like also one thing I was kind of curious about. So if you die in like this Oasis place, so you lose all your currency, all the coins, all the stuff you gathered, you just lose it all once you do that, and you have to start all over again.
Um, in the book, if I recall, it's been a while since I've read it, but if I recall, I think you can get an insurance to make sure, like, once you get to a certain point, you can put stuff away, but
Mm.
anything in your immediate inventory, yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like in the movie, because it seems like once, cause like these like kind of big challenges like this, like characters like killing
Oh
each other.
yeah, you're allowed for the challenges, you're like limited to whatever you have on person, and if you lose, that's it.
Yeah, like you lose everything, and people, like I said, people lose their shit over this. Like people just because this is like a big risk. And like another big thing, like I said, this is a lot of people call it Easter egg the movie. Because it's tons, Freddy Krueger and Jason and Marvin the Martian and Street Fighter characters, Overwatch characters, Mortal Kombat characters, all this DeLorean, the bike from Akira, all this type of stuff, which they do call out. Some things like will name it. Like they'll say the bike from Akira or the Battlestar Galactica, the Iron Giant, like the spaceship from Alien, all this type of stuff. They will call it that stuff. Yeah, but so I mean, I really would like them, like I said, my first point, like to them elaborating, going to depth more on people's such investment in the Oasis and why they love it just so much, which I would have liked more, and also dealing with, like you said, people spending real life money on this game, because that speaks a lot to what's going on right now with microtransactions, where that was a big controversy with Star Wars Battlefront, where you had people spending, like, hey, if you really want to get great at this game, you got to spend real life money, and you'll get all this armor and upgrades and loot
Mhm.
boxes, all this type of shit, and then you'll be really good at the game. It's like, why can't I just actually play the game and get good at the game instead of just spending my real life money on it?
In the in the game, I'm sorry, in the book, that is kind of a thing where it really isn't so much that it's, like I said, there are people who are gold farmers who make a living off of doing that, and that is kind of like a form of microtransaction where you can just buy stuff and make yourself awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike other formats, it's all about the person who uses the tool. If
Right.
you're a garbage player, all that extra stuff is just fluff.
Mm.
It's just
Okay.
all extra adage, but it doesn't mean anything,
Ah.
because of a really, really strong low level player can still beat you. They'll have a hard time, but they can do it and make all that worthless.
Mm. Okay.
Um, that's kind of how he does it. Is he just is very careful at first, and he just kind of builds up, and he just gets so addicted to it that he just starts investing more and more money from the challenges, the things that he is able to work with and sell from his adventuring, that he's able to apply that in real life and get upgrades to the machine itself so that it can feel more real.
Mm. Okay.
And so it's it even goes into a point where, in the book, the resistance is not real. It's part of the game.
Okay. So it's
And
okay. Huh.
yeah.
Okay. So the resistance is only in the virtual world, not in the real
Hmm.
world.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because that's opposite of what happens in the
Yes.
movie.
Yeah, that was
Because
one of the major differences.
yeah, because the resistance is in the real world, and he actually meets people of the resistance way like earlier than he does. From what I know in the book, right? Because like his main love interest, he doesn't meet her until way till the end of the book.
Oh yeah, not till the very very end. Most of the book is detailing the world of Oasis and the world outside of it briefly, and just
Mhm.
his multiple different. It's really kind of bite sized, chapter by chapter, of what kind of happens.
Okay, yeah. And getting into something first thing I liked about it is the movie opens up really nicely, like with a big race at the beginning of it, like you saw in the trailer, which is pretty cool. And like that's where you see like the King Kong and like the dinosaur from T Rex, and it's an exciting, just really cool looking race. And the Oasis itself looks good. It's not particularly all that colorful, but it's a nice looking world. It's like you really could envision like playing in this. I mean, it just playing with all these different type of characters and everything. Like it just looks that great to be in. Like if this is the future of virtual reality, I may have an interest in doing that.
Sure.
And so I think the movie starts off with a really good note. Some things like with the main character himself, like Ty Sheridan, who plays Way Watts, is not really that interesting to follow or that interesting to really listen to or that engaging, which was an issue for mine. Like some of my favorite characters are Mark Rylance, who plays James Holiday, who's the creator of the Oasis. Who actually I had some suspicions about from the trailer because it looked like Mark Rylance didn't really give a fuck to be there. Like he really just didn't really look like he cared. But when we actually see the movie, it actually fits into his character because he's kind of like a, I wouldn't say I mean maybe Steve Jobs.
You like a Willy Wonka, maybe?
Not really, because not like Steve Jobs or Willy Wonka personality wise, because Willy Wonka is charismatic and charming. Mark Rylance in this movie is not like that. It seems like he's maybe on the spectrum.
Right.
Very,
That is a similar to the book.
yeah.
He's just a very smart guy, but it's almost kind of like his culture, trying to understand culture was his way of trying to fit in.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because he's a big 80s nerd and video game nerd and, film references, video game references, all that type of stuff. So that's what he's into, and that's what he filled the Oasis with. And that's the basis for the challenge is because, hey, look through my life and look through all my things I loved, and you'll, find, clues and, win the challenge because people have to win the 3 keys in order to unlock it and win the whole thing and win the big Easter egg. And yeah, I really liked him in the movie. I thought, he had that great kind of, even though he was very, kind of somebody who was on the spectrum, who seemed a little bit, very reclusive and very just not personable. He still was somebody that you did really like and really enjoyed. And I thought he really had that sense of wonder because he really loved these things, as opposed to the Ben Mendelsohn character, who he just was, he's the corporate dickhead. Ben Mendelsohn is Ben Mendelsohn.
Right.
He's gonna play evil, and somebody like who just wants to use people and use the game to just manipulate people and get more money out of people. Because he's even talking to the Mark Rylance character and saying like, "Hey, well, what if we had like a platinum package or a gold package, and we have people pay more for those, and just like I said with the whole microtransactions and that type of stuff. He's that type of guy. So I really like that kind of like his love for these things. I think that carried over, you know what I mean, to I think the audience, at least for me. And then you have Lena Waithe, who plays H, who's Wade Watts' best friend in the movie. And then if you ever watch her when she's like on Master of None or anything like that, her humor and her personality comes through even when she's kind of an avatar character. I think that personality really comes through and really shines. And I also really enjoyed her a lot in the movie as well. Olivia Cooke, who plays the love interest in the movie, she was okay. Like I said, I think she's a little bit more interesting than Wade Watts, but I think like this goes to what I know a little bit from the book is like having 2 people who are very conventionally attractive people, Ty Sheridan and Olivia Cooke. It's again, I think having somebody who wasn't so conventionally attractive, like if you had the guy who played Ned Leeds in Spider-Man: Homecoming, and him as Wade Watts, somebody who wasn't the conventionally attractive looking guy, you could kind of buy like why he would be so into the Oasis like that, like why he'd be so into creating this persona. And then with like somebody like Olivia Cooke, who's also a very beautiful woman, like her whole thing about her being so self-conscious because she has like a birthmark on her face, it's like, well, that kind of just looks like you have a ketchup stain on your face. Like it doesn't really look like anything really that bad. It's like, oh, I'm hideous. Don't look at me. You wouldn't like what you see. It's like you just look like one of those people who slept on their face for too long, and then like now you have like marks on your face. Like it doesn't really look that bad. Like, you know what I mean? And I guess some people can be very self-conscious about maybe a birthmark, but I was like, that's really nothing. Like maybe if the character was maybe disabled, maybe if she was like in a wheelchair, or maybe she had like cerebral palsy or something like that, because people do have issues sometimes dating people who are disabled and do not look at disabled people as being attractive mostly in society. Like that would have been something I've been like, oh, okay, like I could kind of see that, but them trying to like play like she's so unattractive and he's kind of such kind of this loser. I was like, I didn't really 100% buy that. I mean, you reading the book, am I right in that general sense with the book of the character of Wade Watts not being so attractive looking and everything like that? And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, what do you think about that change and that carryover there?
Um, it's the same way I think that in other movies where you get a more I'll give a Harry Potter nod.
Mm,
Hermione Granger wasn't that attractive in the books.
right.
She was very nerdy, glasses, like very nerdy, fraggly hair. She was kind of all right, and then she kind of grew up to be kind of nice looking, but
Mm,
that's about it. She wasn't really that attractive. The actress who plays her, Watson, she is very attractive in comparison.
mm,
And also like J.K. Rowling later, it's like, oh well, could have been played by a black girl, but it's like, yeah, whatever. So it just doesn't to me. It's whatever the people have. I mean, even if we go with The Martian, some characters who were Asian American were played by white individuals, or some people who are black and Indian were also played by just what's his name, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
right.
So really, it just depends on if the actor can play the role
Mm,
in that instance, and if they're more attractive, then hey, more power to it.
right. But in this situation, I think like I said with the whole Oasis, the whole creating persona.
Yeah, with the whole Ray persona in that instance, I do think that was a kind of a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
You could have given somebody who may not have been so handsome or well known of an actor and given them a shot
yeah,
and really given them to show their acting chops and
yeah,
to make them so different because there's such a disconnect when they're like, dude, you're already handsome in the real world.
yeah,
Why make a persona for this? I mean, no offense, there are video gamers who some video games are okay or pretty good looking,
yeah,
and they just do it as a hobby, and that's fine. But most vast majority of people aren't looking like that kind of guy.
yeah,
That's just the truth.
And you could say a little because I mean he does live in very poor and like
Yeah,
life like I
and
said life
like, how does he
sucks.
get his hair? Kind of like, yeah, you just that brings up a bunch of other questions. If they were just kind of meek and he's kind of a meek kind of a character as he is in the book and a little bit, but has a very interesting imagination and wants to get better at this game. That would make sense. But yeah, having him be that it is a bit of a kind of a tilt your head moment. Like it's a disconnect.
Yeah, and if they showed a little bit more of the real world of him interacting with people and seeing him like if he was bad with people, but in the virtual world,
Right, right.
because you see in the virtual
Because that is
world.
shown in the book. It is shown that he's not especially great.
Okay, because in the virtual world, you see him here, and when he's in the Oasis, when he's Parsifal, he's got like a pep in his step, and he's walking around strutting, and he's a little bit more confident. But you don't really see
Right.
that contrast of him when he's in the real world.
Right. This should
It's
have been a case where you kind of do a Clark Kent Superman,
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's a kind of a mild mannered individual, but then in the game they have a confidence because they found a skill they're good at.
yeah. You know what I mean? And actually, they actually do have a Clark Kent reference in this movie as well. Actually, that's another
Mm.
reference they drop
Yeah,
here as
could have
well.
been nice.
And talking about Ty Sheridan, talking about Olivia Cooke, the romance in the movie just feels like it's just kind of thrown in there. Like he's kind of just dropping the L word a lot. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't even know this girl. He's already saying, I love you and I love everything about you. It's like she says, like, you don't even really know me. Like you just know this character I am. Because she plays Artemis in the Oasis. And again, I think that could have been also an opportunity to speak on social media relationships and how like you sometimes you see somebody online and they have this certain look and certain present this certain thing to you, and that's what you love. Like you don't really love the person, you love what they're presenting to you and what they represent, not really necessarily them because he doesn't even know her.
Right.
And I heard in the book like they changed it a lot in the movie because in the book I heard like he kind of cyber stalks her and everything like that. Like it's kind of a little creepy in the book as opposed to the movie. Which because can you confirm that? Because in the book, like his relationship with her, I heard it was kind of weird a little bit.
Yeah, it's from what I remember, it was kind of it felt very kind of stitched together, very power fantasy ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that would change that too much. They might streamline it and make it more malleable for a movie.
Yeah,
But yeah, in the book, it's not especially like its best selling point.
yeah. Because in the
Honestly, and then I'm gonna be honest, I've read the book. The book, it was made for a young adult audience.
mhm.
It really shows.
Okay.
There's a lot of I'm not gonna lie, its use of vernacular is very limited, and the descriptions are just kind of bad sometimes.
Mm,
Like thing looks like this, that thing is this.
mm,
It happens more times than probably should, but I mean, it's power fantasy, and it was one of the few books that really just kind of captured everything that somebody loved about that time period. So people gave it credence and let it go,
mm,
and kids ate it up.
mm. Okay. Yeah, because in the movie, I don't think it's so bad. I mean, like he mentions, like, hey, because like when he sees her, she's riding the Akira bike in the race at the beginning of the movie. And he says, "Oh yeah, I watched all her Twitch streams and all that type of stuff like that." Which a shout out to Twitch. They still alive in 2045. So shout out to them, and they still
Yeah,
they still going.
keep it on, keep it on.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was a little kind of just forced and thrown in there. I didn't think that was really necessary. I mean, there was even a guy sitting next to me, and he was just like, "Why does this have to be in every movie?" You know, what I mean? Like, it was even, like I was like, yeah, I was just kind of like, yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was just like, yeah, I really agree with that. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think some of it had a lot of kind of things they could have really gone with and really kind of really much reflected on society because there's lots of things here that do reflect on society. I thought they could have gone more like with the Ben Mendelsohn character, him being this corporate guy who's all about manipulating people and all controlling people. Um, but I think the last 30 minutes of this movie is really what sells me on this movie, especially like something I'm like, wow, okay, that battle sequence which you see in the trailer, that really just like, wow, okay, yeah, this alone is just worth the price of admission. I was just like, this is so exciting. Like when they have just everybody, like Ninja Turtles and the Battle Toads, and all these type of different characters. And there is like one oh shit moment for me in this movie. I went like, okay, that's just so fucking cool. Like
Mhm.
I had to geek out in that moment. I think everybody will probably have that moment that they probably will do that in this film. And I don't know. I mean, even if like, I like a lot of the stuff like they're referencing in the movie. Like I probably didn't catch all the Easter eggs and all the references. I mean, I can't wait till this thing comes on DVD. I'm bet you there's gonna be tons of YouTubers who can't wait to pause and rewind and catch every little reference, every little thing. Because I'm sure there's tons of stuff I didn't catch. Like there's somebody like it's Hello Kitty, and then there's another character behind Hello Kitty and all this other type of stuff. So I mean, I think it's a good film. I don't think it's a great film. I don't think it's as great as some people may expect it to be, especially if it's Steven Spielberg. It does have a good sense. I would have maybe liked a better sense of adventure as far as them figuring out the puzzles and
Mhm.
everything like that. Because in the movie, it's kind of like they just kind of figure it out. Like it's kind of like I don't know how you really kind of piece that together. But I
Yeah,
understand you have to do it for a movie in order to move
right.
things
But
along.
even the best mysteries have enough breadcrumbs that by the end of it, you go, "Oh yeah, that does make sense." Or really keen observers of mystery series can go,
Mm,
"Oh, okay, no, I think I figured it out," when the detective does.
okay, yeah, that's a good point.
So that's not no offense, that's not an excuse anymore. When
Yeah,
people go, "Oh yeah, it's a movie," you can't really. No, I've seen it been done. It's been done, and if it can be done, then
yeah,
it had. And Steven Spielberg, he's the guy who could do it.
yeah.
So that's a script problem.
Yeah, because I thought like, how did you get to that point, and how did you kind of figure out that and something? I mean, some things they kind of do explain a little bit, but I was like, I don't
Sure.
know how you made that real leap. Yeah, and like them, the evil company that they're the IOI, um, them like they apparently force people into like these labor camps, like these loyalty things.
Yeah.
Because if you have these like outstanding debt, they'll kind of force you to work it off. Which again, that speaks to what's going on with a lot of people right now. Like
Mhm.
these debt companies, forcing people in because it's like you get a debt, like a student loan repayment, and then you work some dead end job to try to pay off that loan repayment, and you can't even get in a job in the field that you got a degree in. Things like that. That speaks to that. But again, I think, and also, can they? I mean, it also makes me think like, where's the law enforcement in a case like that? Like, can they just force people to kind of do that? Like, just kind of kidnap people, and it's basically kind of slavery almost.
Yeah, they didn't really get into that in the book.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, this is kind
No,
of
that's a huge plot hole, and you just gotta. It's one of those things. All right, we're just gonna let this go
yeah,
because if we try to tackle this whole world falls apart.
yeah. Because like in like how, and that speaks to like how the real world kind of works. Like,
Right, and there's also other things in virtual reality. If you can do all these different things, that would also encroach on like First Amendment rights and other things that would kind of get into that real life stuff. And law enforcement would also be that would be incredibly useful for teaching law enforcement of how to find bodies and how to deal with this and
oh yeah,
how to
like training scenarios and
yeah,
like,
oh yeah, training scenarios. That would be a great militarization use
yeah,
in other situations. So like it is right. It's a ripe fruit for it. But again, they're only really concerned on the gaming perspective on it, not like as a whole. Other science fiction has dealt with that and
yeah,
has seen really interesting stuff come from that in the virtual reality. So
yeah.
again, also comes from a young adult novel, and Steven Spielberg and the script seem to have a very specific focus on it, just like the novel. So
Mm,
that's what they're going to stick with.
yeah,
There's a big bad organization. There's a virtual reality world. Here's some cool references.
yeah,
Here's some fun, but not too much fun, but some fun.
yeah, yeah. And the evil,
At least that's one, like from the book. At least that's what I got from it. But from hearing you, it seems like I'm kind of on the mark, more
pretty
or less.
much. And like the even, like I said, Ben Mendelsohn, the corporate weed dickhead guy. And then he even has his own like henchwoman, like with the bangs and everything. Like apparently all evil henchwomen now in movies, they also have to have like that same look, like the character Love in Blade Runner 2049. The character in Kingsman, Sophia Butella, with the knives for legs, like she had the same haircut. Apparently, they all go to the same hairdresser. The same.
Did they just was this like a virtual world of Entourage, the movie, where just people from other movies just showed up as a cameo because they
Uh,
were shooting at that time?
I mean, sometimes it kind of like felt like that a little bit because because I'm not saying those people are actually in the movie. I'm saying like
Right.
that henchwoman looks like. But the one thing I will get in the movie, like I really love, like sometimes they'll show something that looks straight ripped out of like the thing they're getting it from.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you see the Ninja Turtles, like the Ninja Turtles look like they're just straight ripped from the actual Ninja Turtles movie, the recent ones, not
I
the
mean the CGI ones.
yeah. They use those ones. They don't use like the classic looking Ninja Turtles. They use those, which I think people would be probably playing more of the classic Ninja Turtles than they do the newer ones. But whatever,
Gotcha.
But I mean, like stuff like that looked, that looked pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's good. I don't think it's that great. Yeah, and I still say it's something you should see in the theaters, and still something you should probably check out because I said that battle sequence at the end is a lot of fun and really good. I would love to just rewatch that over and over and over again. Like 2 years from now when it comes on YouTube, just rewatch that over and over and over again because that was just really good. So thumbs up for me. Thought it was pretty good. Thought pretty solid. Hello, thanks for checking out our content. If you liked it, let us know, and if you didn't, let us know that as well. If you want to see more content, we post every Saturday on SoundCloud and YouTube at The Afternoon Tune. You can also find us through various social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all one word at The Afternoon Tune. And if you don't deal with any of that social media stuff, you can also find us through our email at theafternoontune@gmail.com. And don't forget to always stay tuned.